Okay, for this video we're going to start just showing you the basics of how you get started using Camtasia. And I've got a page open here, just Wikipedia, because I'm going to use this as my sample as if I was going to be recording this page. So first of all, we open up Camtasia itself, and it will open up on our system. And these are the first tools that we get offered here. We've got asked if we want to do a new screen recording, a new voice recording, a new PowerPoint recording, and import media. Now we're not going to go through all of these today. We're going to look at this one here, the new screen recording, because that's the one we want to start with. So we just literally hit new screen recording, and that will help us to get started. Okay, as you can see here, Camtasia then asks us what we want to be using. So if I want to record like I'm here with microphone now, I check this box and I click the options and I select the microphone systems that are plugged in. As you can see here, it's moving up and down to the sound of my voice already, so we know that that's working, and we can choose which type of plug-in we want to use. So I've got my microphone selected here. We can also change the volume of the input mic here if we want to, and if we wanted to, we could choose, if we've got a webcam to do picture-in-picture, we could choose that. But at the moment we're just going to cover the basics. If you want to select an area you wish to record in, you just simply click the box, and it now starts to highlight areas of your screen automatically, or if you wanted to, you can define and tell it which area you want to record around. So let's say I wanted to draw this area here, like that. I can then choose to record that area of my screen, and it tells me the width and height. The great part here is, if I want to have a preset size for certain sizes I'm recording, so for example if I'm doing a blog, it's usually 4:300. If I'm doing a good web size, I want perhaps 640x480. If I want the widescreen look, I'll go for 720x480. If I want quite a large PC screen, I'll go to 800x600. That's if I'm perhaps showing a video in a kiosk somewhere. And then full screen is if I want to perhaps use my whole computer and then break it down. Or if I'm going to be using it in future perhaps for DVD, actually a bigger size quality screen, it's up to me. But let's go with a 640x480 to start with. And you'll see here it resizes the position for me. The great thing here now is if I want to record this whole area of screen that you see on this part and not just this little area, I can center this, so I can put it over here. If I now hold down my shift key while dragging from the corner here, like so, it keeps the same, I can't break, it keeps the same file size in respect of pixels. And the reason why that's great is I do that and I now record, I'm now recording pretty much the full size of the screen here. But because I've kept the width and height ratio the same, when I cut this down to be a 640 by 480 video later in Camtasia to show on a website, it will keep the ratio, it will make the ratio easier for me rather than trying to start stretching the screen to make it fit. So that's the great part here. Or you can actually lock it to the application, so you can choose to lock it to a certain window that you're using as well. There's a help button here, and there's also options as well that go back to the original choices. And there's a lot more options here that we can go over in a later one, like adding writing on the wall and stuff like that. That's the first video, just showing you how to get the thing started. And as you can see here, we're recording. I can close that. I'll close that, and when we're ready, we just either hit F9 or we hit the red button, and we'll start recording the screen. And then we're ready to move that over to start editing it. And that's the first part of Camtasia, getting your first screen up and running to record. Okay, so in our first video we just created a small demo video, and I've got one here that I'm going to use for editing the next stage. And once you've opened it here with inside Camtasia, you literally drag and drop it into the timeline, and when you do that, a box is going to pop up asking us to set the project settings within Camtasia. What this basically means here is we can select a preset format that will create the width and the height of the video we're going to produce. So if we're producing for web, then 640x480. For CD, we might want it bigger, 800x600. For blog, 400x300, and for iPod, 320x240. If we want to see other presets, we can see them here. Anything over 640x480, and it will normally default to the web. We can also change the video dimensions and apply smart focus, so as we're recording on the screen, Camtasia, if we apply smart focus, will zoom into certain areas to bring them at the focus of the person who's watching your video. The thing to bear in mind when you're making videos with Camtasia now with the Smart Focus is it's a fantastic tool providing you use it correctly. If you don't use it in the right way and you're moving your mouse around a lot when you're recording the screen, you're going to have Smart Focus zooming into areas of the site you don't want to show, or is not of any use to your viewer. So make sure if you're going to use Smart Focus that you keep your mouse in the place where you're interested in the viewer watching at the time, and you make slow and deliberate movements to parts of your screen so that your viewer gets taken around the page how you want them to. If you don't want to have Smart Focus applied, you don't need to have it. And you can hit change the video dimensions. So once we've chosen the format, we hit OK. Now here's what I meant by about the Smart Focus. As you can see here, Smart Focus can be applied again, and it's already been put in here. If I hit play at the moment, you'll see that it will zoom in on the little video I made earlier. There you go. So if I wanted someone to be looking over here, it's now moved them somewhere I don't want them to be. The great thing about Smart Focus is we can double click, and now we can actually delete this clip if we want to. Highlight and hit delete. It's now gone. So now we're not going to zoom. Now we're not going to zoom in. If we get to the point and we want to just move the zoom and tweak a little bit, we can literally click on it and we can drag it anywhere we like on the timeline, and it will now apply that zoom on the point that we want it to. So it's a useful way of moving it around if you want Smart Focus to do so. If we need to reapply Smart Focus, we hit Smart Focus and it will say, do you want to remove all existing keyframes and apply Smart Focus to the entire line? Let's hit yes. It's now put back the original one. So that's a great way of using Smart Focus. I'm actually going to take out a couple of these that I don't want, just for the purposes of showing you this video. And when we're done with Smart Focus, we hit OK. The next thing to notice here is that at the moment you can see it's called Camtasia 2 CamRec. That's the recording. So as we recorded the screen earlier on, that's the name of the recording. What we're now doing is we're working in the main project area, and this is our project, and at the moment it's untitled. So as soon as you've dragged it to your timeline, before you start editing and playing around, you really want to be actually saving your content. All you do is go to File and hit Save Project As. You'll then just name your project, so we'll call ours Camtasia. I'm going to call it 2B, and hit Save. And it's now saved my project. This way it comes back up in here, and if I want to pull it in and edit it any other time or my computer crashes, I know that I'm covered. So that's a great thing to be aware of there. If we now move down to the timeline, this is your most important feature that you'll be using a lot of. As I can see here, I can scrub it backwards and forwards through the whole video to preview different points. If I wanted to add another audio track, I just come down to Tracks, highlight Audio 2, and now I could put in an audio track that I could play softly in the background throughout my video. I'm going to remove that because I don't want it. So I can choose, and as I said before, I can move markers around. So as I add faders and callouts, which I'll show you in a moment, you could actually move those around and get them more detailed. If you want to zoom right into a point and you want to see in more detail, if you're, say, cutting and editing, you have the zoom in and the zoom out. So let's go right in here. We hit plus, 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 plus. As you can see, we've gone right in tight to the zoom in part of our video. And if I wanted to delete that or move it just a tweak, I can really do it really finely by zooming right in on the content. Zoom out will take me back as far as I want to, back to the full video. If I want to delete a section of video, I can left click and drag, and then these scissors appear, and I simply hit cut. Now it's gone. If I realise I've made a mistake, I go up to here and I hit undo, and if you watch down here while I click it, boom, puts it back in again. So you can always put it back if you lose it. If I want to get a fine piece that I want to cut out, I could zoom in and I can place it on the timeline, and now I could use this one here to split my video. This now becomes one part of my video and this becomes part of another, and if I move this out of the way, you'll see there's a break here. This is good for two things. I could now take a small bit, say there's a piece of noise I want to clip out, I could click next to it, I could split it again, and I could cut that out. I could remove it from the timeline, and it's gone. I'm just going to put that back. There we go. But if I wanted to put a transition from one scene to another, like a cut scene, I can now insert it here because I've created a gap, whereas before when there wasn't one I couldn't do that. So let's go and look at some of the transitions we can do. Over here you can see the edit window, and on this part we can do callouts, we can do transitions, we can put in captions, we can put in flash quiz and surveys, we can do more as well as we go through. But let's say I wanted to have a callout or a transition. If I wanted to go from one part of the video to another, in this part here, I can hit transitions. And as you can see now, this is now on the storyboard. This is the first part of the video, this is where I cause the clip break, and this is the bit in the middle. I can now make it go from one to another. So if I drag that down, left click and hold and let go, it now creates a transition from one part of the video to the other. It would do a flip. If I wanted it to rotate, I can do that and it would rotate on the page. And just to show you that now on the video, you can see it turns the page. So I can insert a transition into my video. Let's say I now wanted to make it with a professional intro with a title clip. I just come over here, I go to title clips, and I type intro, or whatever it is I'm going to be doing. And let's make this bigger, so we can choose the sizes we want, we can bold it, we could put in a background image if we wanted to, but I'm happy with that for now, so I hit OK. Now it appears here in my clip bin. To get it onto my screen to actually where the video is, I left click and I drag it and I let go, and here I'm putting it at the beginning and you can see it's appeared. If I go back, if I wanted to I could go to storyboard mode, and again I can see here that my first clip, my transition and my second clip, if I left click and I drag and I put it here, it's going to shunt them along. So now it's putting it here and it's now left me with another transition. So let's put a transition in, and let's put in a page turn. We hit finished. We go back to the timeline. Let's just have a look at that on the screen. So there the page turns and our video starts. So we can add in other effects here and go from one scene to another. Let's say I wanted to highlight a part of a page to certain I want to show this globe up here. I can just use what's called a callout. And I put add callout. And let's say I want to have an arrow. I just position it where I want. I can resize it if I wanted to, make it bigger. It's entirely up to me how I want it to stand out. Let's put it there. I can choose here to the opacity. I can make it really bright or I can make it faded out. It's entirely up to me. I can make it fade in or fade out on the actual timeline. I could add a drop shadow if I want to. I can make it 3D. There's different shapes that I can choose here. When I'm happy, and there's choices here you can go through of all the different callouts. You could have a two-sided arrow like that. Let's put ours back. We can have a notepad, a callout, like a little speech bubble. It's entirely up to you. When you're finished, we just hit OK and hit finished. If I scroll down here, you can now see that it's appeared and been put into our timeline. And again, I can left click on it and I can drag it and put it where I want to on the timeline to show it. So I'm going to leave it here. So if we now play our clip from our transition, there we see our page fold, starts the video, and then it will fade in our arrow. If I wanted to add captions down here so that as the video is playing I'm getting words showing up, I can just literally use the captions. And I click captions. And as you can see, it's now created a part for actual text to appear on the screen. So it's entirely up to you, and you want to actually read this and play around with this and spend a bit of time learning how to add captions to your timeline and your video for a more professional look and feel if you want to. I'd also suggest you take a look at the flash quiz and survey at later dates as well, and also the audio enhancements that allows you to strip out some of the bad sounds in the background if you want to by evening out the volume. You can make it automatically detect noises and remove noises, so we hit that. It will run through the video and it will pull out the little bits of video that it feels are not relevant, and we can hit OK. And that's it. That's our video that we've been now editing, that we've played around with. If I wanted to just very quickly reduce the noise or want to fade out my track, I can also fade in and fade out my audio. and I can reduce the volume and increase the volume as well. Once you've finished playing around editing your video, you're then ready to move on to the next section, which will be producing your content. Okay, so now we've actually finished editing our video, we now want to produce it. So if we go to Produce Video As, we now get these settings come up, and we can choose to either use preset Camtasia Studio productions, or we can choose to recommend my production settings, or we can choose to go custom and do it completely ourselves. With the presets, if we use the same preset choice here as we did when we were editing the video, then it will be the smoothest, and everything that you saw in the preview video as you were putting together your video will appear in your finished article. So you can choose which format the Camtasia will produce your video for you, and this was the fastest way of doing it. You can produce it to web, CD, blog, iPod, or you can choose the different options for you here. It's entirely up to you. This, as I said, is the fastest way of producing your video ready for the web. If you wanted it to recommend your production settings but then let you have a little bit more flexibility in how you produce your video, you can choose this one here, recommend my production settings, and then you'll go through from that point. If however you want a lot more control, such as frame rates and more detail of how good the quality of the audio etc., you can choose the custom production setting here, and that will then let you have far more control over your video. But if you're looking at a standard video for your blog or for your web, the great thing about Camtasia is we could hit production presets here and it will create our video for us in a matter of minutes. The great thing here, as you can see, is when you choose the custom production settings as well, is you can either have in Flash, Windows Media, in QuickTime, in AVI, which is a larger file size and normally better for CD or DVD, in Real Player, as an MP3 audio, or even as an iPod ready video that will play on iPod players. So the choice is really huge. For this video at the moment, we're just going to show you the simple getting started option, and that is letting the Camtasia actually choose it for us. As you can see here, as I select these, if you watch the formats, they change, telling us what format it will be saving in. So like here it's going to save it as Flash, here it's going to save in AVI, here it's going to say an M4V for an iPod. If I do it for web, it's also going to do for Flash. I want a screen size a bit smaller than this 640, so I'm not going to go with the web option here, although it's still going to be on the web. It's going to be as a blog, and it's going to make it a 400 by 300. I hit next, and now I actually get to name my video. So now we name our video, and I'm going to call this Wikipedia, because that was our demo we were doing. It's going to put it into subfolders, it's going to show me production results, and it's going to play the video after it's finished. So by hitting next, it now gives me a quick summary here of how it's going to produce my movie for me. It's going to tell me the frame rate, it's going to tell me the frame rate, it's going to tell me the size, how it encodes it, all the bits and pieces here. It's going to give me a summary of how it's going to work. When I hit finish, it's going to straight away start to render my project. As you can see here, it's going very quickly. It's rendering my project, and once it's finished, it's going to actually put up a display video showing me how my finished result looks in a window, which is going to come up right now. And that way, your video is pretty much ready now to go place on the website for you of your choice. In the other options, we can have a bit more flexibility on how we produce our video, but this is a great format. Here we go. Comes up in a window for me. And as you can see here, it's ready to play. When I click play in my browser, it's now going to play my video for me about Wikipedia that we made. Okay, so after and there you can see it's about to zoom in our arrow that we added in our demo videos earlier on. When I hit close, it now shows me the finished results. It tells me the name of the Flash file. It tells me the HTML file and the Java code it's created. It tells me how long the video is, the size of my video, so it's here, it's just under 3 megabytes, its dimensions, and it goes through the bits and pieces it's finished. And I hit finished. If I now just show you my desktop, this is the folder that Camtasia actually made for me, and when I double click, inside here is my page, the production information, the JavaScript it created, and the Flash file itself. And again, double clicking on that page would play that video like we saw a moment ago. And that's the quickest and easiest way to get Camtasia to produce your video content for you. So that was the quick way of producing your video. What about the other way Well, we'll move on to the custom ones in future videos, but let's take the second option, which gives you a little bit more control, and that's recommend my product section. So you click that and hit next. And here we can now choose again how we're going to be distributing our video. You don't have a blog option here, but we do have a web, so I'm going to choose that one for now. My video content includes screen recording. It doesn't have picture-in-picture or video, so I don't check that one. It's not a PowerPoint, but I do have voice narration, so I want to click that box as well. I've got no music, so I'm now ready. I hit next. Now I can choose what file size I'm going to use in respect of the video quality. If my video happens to be not lots of movement and not on a page, I can actually go for a smaller file size. If I want to make sure it's top quality because it's full motion video, I'll probably want to go for a higher quality file. And you want to play around with this when you're trying it out for yourself to try and keep file size down, but at the same time giving a good quality video if you can. Same with audio. We can choose the best or tiny file size. It's entirely up to us when we're producing our video. We hit next again. And now we choose a video. If I'm running a table of contents, I can choose that, but I just have a video here. This part here is the Onyx player. If I want to have a different looking player, say I wanted to have a classic, I can choose that. Maybe a matte, I can choose that. Let's go back to the Onyx. That then sets up the preview of my video. The dimensions, now here is where I can change it. I want this to be in a blog, so I'm going to put it 480 by 360. So I can change my choice if I want to. When I'm ready, I hit next, and once again, I get my video come up. So I'm going to call it Wikipedia, as I did before, and I'm going to save it. It's going to save it to my desktop so it's easy for me to find, and it's going to put it into a subfolder for me so they're not all over the place, so they're all in one place and I can easily find them. I hit next. Again, it gives me the overview of what it's going to do, and I hit finish, and it's now going to render that video for me once more. Again, as it comes to the end of the video, it's going to open a new browser window for me to see my video finished result. Here we go. And there's my video starting to play. I'm going to turn the audio down. Okay, so there's our video playing in the window. I can close that. And again, once more, it gives me the file size, how it's finished the video, and the format. And I hit next. I can either open the production folder, which I'm going to do, and this now shows me the videos. And here are my videos, and this time, as you can see, it's got a few more files that it's created inside, and these are all the files we need to upload to actually share our content. And we'll look at, in our next video, we'll actually look at how we actually put our content out on the web itself. Thanks for watching. Okay, so once we've actually created our video, we've edited our video, we've produced our video, and we now want to actually share it with people on the internet. How do we do that? Before we go into the next stage, I just want to show you another cool feature that Camtasia 5 has, and that is if you want to export it directly as a zip file, you can do. You just go to File, and Export Project to Zip. It's now going to ask you what to call it, which we're going to put here. It's going to put it onto our desktop. We're going to include all your files from the clip bin, and the reason why I want to do that is if I had other files in here like audio and images, I'd want anyone else who's got Camtasia to be able to edit this, to be able to use it. But this way, it's a good way of me archiving my own projects. So if I hit OK, it's now going to package it and create a zip file, which I'm now going to show you. Here it is. It's created a zip file on my desktop. So I've now archived my project and it's stored away ready for using in the future if I want to. So that's all there. When we actually went through the process of creating our video, it produced a file to our desktop. And what I'm going to do now is to show you how you would very quickly show someone your video on your internet site. What we have here is we have the Wikipedia 2, which was the second video we created. And here is an HTML file. It's the only one in the whole folder. So that's the link I've got to create. If I'm not going to have anything else in this folder on my web, one tool is to rename this to index, because that way whatever folder I put it on the internet, it'll automatically pull up this page on the web. And I'll show you what I mean now. Here's our website with the page ready to upload it. We've called it, and I'm going to show you the site, squeezevideotemplates.com/Wikipedia 2, because that's the folder name we're going to upload. It's called Wikipedia 2. If I open up my FTP software, you can see here, at the moment it doesn't exist. This is my website here, and there's no folder called Wikipedia 2. But here it is on my desktop, ready to upload. So if I left click and I drag this all the way across and I let go, it's now going to slowly upload all the files to my web server, such as the Flash file, the FLV file, the HTML file. Everything that it needs is going to upload to the web. When it's finished doing that, it will be ready to view for me on the internet, and I can link to it to show anyone I like my new video. As you can see here now, it's now uploading that 2.5 megabyte file. When it's done that, we'll come back and I'll show you the result. You can see here it's just going through the final stages of uploading all of my content to the site. It's now got a folder called Wikipedia 2. So if I now link to that folder, so I go to squeezevideotemplates.com/Wikipedia 2 just as a folder name, like we showed you a moment ago, and I now hit enter. Once it's uploaded, I can now share this with my friends, with colleagues, or if I'm training people and I want to link them to certain content. I'm doing a training session. If it links to a book that I've written, I can just put a direct link to my videos to the website with this particular page, and as you can see, my video is now loading. Once it's loaded, we'll actually come back and see the finished result on the web. Here you can see my page is now up and it's still downloading, and if I hit play, it's going to start playing the video file so people can come to the web and actually sit and watch my video, and it will play within my web browser on my website. The other cool thing about Camtasia in the latest version is if we produce our videos, if I just quickly go through those steps very fast to show you what I mean. We chose web before, same settings. Let's make it a bit smaller. Call it Wiki 3. It's going to quickly create our video for us. So it's creating our video here. Once it's actually finished the video creation process, it then actually has now an FTP function built in. So if you don't have the FTP software open and you want to be able to upload it to your site straight away, you can now do it from within Camtasia itself. So you don't need to then open up a separate FTP program like I just did there. It's just going to show the results. I'm going to close that. So by hitting next, as you can see here, it says upload video to your server with FTP. Rather than opening the production folder, we're actually going to say no, we're going to upload it. So I hit finish. Now it's asking for the server name, the path, the username and password. So I'll take my FTP settings I've been given from my host provider, name the folder of where it's going to upload it to, and it will upload it by FTP directly through Camtasia. So if I don't want to use something like Smart FTP like I showed you here, you can use Camtasia itself. And that's how quickly and easily you can share your content with your friends on the internet. So that summarizes how you create a basic video, how you edit it, how you produce it, and how you share it with others on the web. Thanks for watching.